What is going on, everyone? It is Zach, the Purdue fan here, and today is September 18th, 2021. Another Saturday in the fall, and that means we got another Purdue football game today. Today is the big one. Purdue 2-0 with wins against Oregon State and Connecticut versus Notre Dame, number 12 in the country, with wins against Florida State and Toledo. Now, both of those wins for Notre Dame are both the difference of a field goal. Let's pull up Notre Dame here. Notre Dame, in my opinion, I found them overrated from the start. So in the Florida State game, it was 41-38 in overtime, and then the Toledo game, which off of a pass from Jack Cohn to Michael Mayer in the closing seconds of the game, Notre Dame won 32 to 29. If we look at Purdue, obviously they're coming off of a 49-0 win against the UConn Huskies, and the week before they had a 30-21 win over Oregon State. So I'm really excited for this matchup. I mean, the rivalry has had a 7-year hiatus, and the rivalry is back. I'm a big fan of traditional games like this, in-state teams playing every year. Yeah, there we go. But in-state teams playing every year, I'm a big fan of that. And, I'm just excited that these two teams are playing. But take a look at Notre Dame. I really haven't liked what I've seen from Notre Dame. They're letting teams like Florida State and Toledo give them good games. And if you look at Florida State of what they've done, they just lost to Jacksonville State. So the Seminoles are 0-2. So you look at that. You look at that Florida State performance. Maybe it had something to do with the Bobby Bowden, memoration. Remembering about Coach Bobby Bowden. But the following week against Jacksonville State, I mean, Florida State did not look good. They lost on that Hail Mary at the end, caught it about the 10-yard line, broke a couple tackles, and then got into the end zone. But at quarterback, Notre Dame, they got Jack Cohn. He's a Wisconsin transfer, and I'll be honest with you, I really feel like the identity of Notre Dame football has changed, but maybe not for the time down the road, but for this year, I definitely think the identity of Notre Dame football has changed. We've known that Notre Dame, they always have good running backs, and they do have two good running backs this year, in Kyron Williams and Chris Tyree. But if you look at Notre Dame for this year, they're more of a passing team. I think I did the math a couple days ago that Notre Dame only averages 94 rushing yards a game over the course of their two games against Florida State and Toledo. But Jack Cohn so far is 46 of 68 passing for 605 yards on the season. He has 6 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So Jack Cohn, the Wisconsin transfer, I really like what I've seen from him. He's passing well. Look at the rushing attack. You got Kyron Williams, which, like I mentioned earlier, Notre Dame has had some troubles running the ball. They're only averaging 94 yards as a team per game. But if you look at Kyron Williams, he's got 34 carries on the season, so definitely running the ball less too. 34 carries only for Williams. I think that's a little low, but he's got 34 carries on the season, 120 yards. He's averaging 3.5 yards a carry, and he has 1 touchdown. Chris Tyree, who will be one of the other featured backs. Williams and Tyree, I feel like, split the carries from what I've seen. Tyree has 14 carries, 43 yards, and 1 touchdown, and he's averaging 3.1 yards a carry. So Notre Dame haven't run the ball well, so definitely going to have to look out for the passing attack from the Irish in this one. Let's take a look at Purdue, though, and what I've seen from Purdue has impressed me. Their defense looks good. The offense looks good. Special teams obviously looks good. But the thing is, the running attack, I think, has been much improved. The offensive line, I thought, hasn't been doing too bad. But the thing about that running attack is Xander Horvath is presumably out for the season. He had a foot injury lower leg in the UConn game, and King Doru and for the rest of the season practically is going to get the majority of the carries. Dylan Downing will get some carries in there as well. He hasn't done too bad. But if you look at Doru, so far he's got 17 carries, 81 yards. He's averaging 4.8 yards a carry, and he's got 1 touchdown. Downing has 15 carries for 78 yards, and he's averaging 5.2 yards a carry, and he hasn't gotten in the end zone yet. Downing obviously hasn't been used as much as Horvath and Doru, but obviously moving up in the depth chart due to Horvath's injury, so we're looking for those two guys to step up. Jack Plummer has been pretty good. He's been very good, actually. On the season so far, he's 45 of 61 passing, has 558 passing yards on the season with a completion percentage of 73.8. He's averaging 9.1 yards a pass. He has 6 touchdowns, and he has no interceptions. So Plummer has been taking care of the ball well. He's been completing a vast majority of his passes. So I've really liked what I've seen from Plummer so far, and he's going to have a big game if the Boilermakers want to escape South Bend with an upset. Look at the receivers. The receivers are staying pretty healthy. David Bell, obviously, is the main guy. He's got 14 catches on the season for 255 yards, averaging 18.2 yards a reception. He has 3 touchdowns. Payne Durham at the tight end position. He's got 11 catches for 174 yards on the season and 3 touchdowns, which that reminds me. I forgot to take a look at Notre Dame's receivers, so we'll get back to that in a second. Jackson Anthrop, who has been kind of a utility guy in my opinion, just go on a small route, get a catch for you. He's got 9 catches, 61 yards, hasn't got a touchdown yet. I'm looking for a huge game from Brock Thompson, by the way. He's a transfer from Marshall. Hasn't seen a lot, but I really want him to get a big game somewhere. And really, everyone's going to have to step up. But Thompson, 3 catches, 47 yards. So I'm really looking for him to make an impact soon. Look at the defense for the Boilermakers. Obviously, you got to look at the defensive line. They've been playing outstanding. George Karlaftis, DeMarcus Mitchell, Branson Dean on defensive tackle, and the secondary has been playing well. Dedrick Mackey, Corey Trice. Wow, what's his name? Was it Jefferson? I think that's who it is. Yeah, Chris Jefferson and Jefferson, the transfer from Division II, Findlay University, and then Jamari Brown, who had a little bit of an injury in the UConn game, but is expected to go against Notre Dame. So the secondary is going to have to step up with Notre Dame's passing attack, which is, I think, the strength of their offense. The linebackers have been playing good. Jalen Graham, guys like that. So let's go back to Notre Dame. I forgot to look at their receivers and defense. So the leading receiver is tight end Michael Mayer for the Fighting Irish. He's got 16 catches for 201 yards and has 3 touchdowns. Look at one of their featured receivers. Kevin Austin Jr., he's got 8 catches, 154 yards, and 1 receiving touchdown. So those are some of the guys to look at in the passing game for the Irish. They use Kyron Williams a lot in the passing game, along with Tyree, their running backs in the passing game too. The running backs rank 3 and 4 as leading receivers for Notre Dame this season. You look at the defense, I think the 2 guys you have to look out for is Kyle Hamilton in the secondary. He plays safety, but I won't be surprised one bit this afternoon if he's matched up on David Bell in this one. And when I was talking about Purdue's receivers, guys are going to have to step up. David Bell might not be as available as in other games because Kyle Hamilton is a very good defensive back, and he's looking to shut down David Bell. Another guy to look out for is, I think it's Myron? Yeah, Myron Tungavailoa Amosa. He's a defensive lineman. Look for him to get into the pass rush. J.D. Bertrand, linebacker. He's the leading tackler for this Notre Dame defense. So, Yeah, that's just an overlook of some of the teams. This game is coming on at 2:30 Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Central, which is the time zone I'm in. And this game is going to be on NBC, so it's going to be available for everyone to watch. But let's get into my predictions. So there's a few ways I'm looking at this. If Notre Dame wins in the ballpark of like 45-14, I honestly won't be surprised because Notre Dame has been listening to the upset talks and they're overrated. That the Notre Dame players have heard that, okay? They're looking for one game to just go out and shut those people up. I also won't be surprised if Purdue gives Notre Dame a game and goes toward like 38. And I think this game's going to be a shootout. I think with these defenses, they're not the best of defenses, and I think both of these teams have pretty good offenses. So I think this is going to be a shootout. I really do. And I'm leaning, and my actual prediction is Notre Dame's going to win 38-30, which in the grand scheme of things, I won't be really disappointed if we lose to Notre Dame. I know Notre Dame is a far superior team than us, and really it's a game that when I saw it on the schedule, I was excited that the game was going to be played, but I really didn't have it as a win because I know how good Notre Dame is compared to Purdue. But maybe they're kind of getting towards, I'm not saying they are, I'm saying they're getting more towards them being equal in a sense with, matching up. Because I strongly believe that Purdue has a solid chance to win this game, and I really think they can give Notre Dame a ball game. And my prediction is Notre Dame's going to win 38-30. I really do think Purdue gives Notre Dame a game. Would I be surprised if Purdue wins? Yes and no. Because a lot of people have been thinking that Purdue is going to win this game, and I think they can, but my prediction is they don't. The only way I would be surprised is if Purdue blows out Notre Dame. Like when I mentioned if Notre Dame wins 45-14, I wouldn't be surprised basically because of the upset talks. But if Purdue does that to Notre Dame, that is the only way I would be surprised. But I have Notre Dame winning 38-30. So with that is going to close out the video. I will be live for this game. My first live reaction stream of the season. I will be live today. So make sure you tune into that. I plan to go live probably maybe 10 to 15 minutes before kickoff. So that starts at 2:30 for the Eastern Time folks and 1:30 for the folks in Central Time. So that'll close out this video. My final prediction: Notre Dame 38, Purdue 30. I will see you guys later for the live stream. Peace. Boiler up and hammer down.